though, and just what he might slip into the postbox. You know what I'm talking about? Those envelopes with windows, the ones that could hold the credit card bills. Do you know exactly how much you spent on Christmas presents? I don't. I certainly bashed the credit card, though. How much did you commit to plastic when you were planning your holiday? Oh, goodness me. I don't even want to think about it. My next guest might just be able to help you budget in order to make those payments on time. He'll also tell you how to cut the grocery bills, the utility bills, the mortgage, all those things that will help every one of us out. Wilson Luna is the founder of Your Family, Your Money. He joins us now. Good afternoon.
G'day. Thanks for having us on.
No worries. Your advice is gold. We were talking in the ad break about multiple debt and how to tackle that.
Yeah, look, one thing we hear a lot of is there's two scenarios generally. Firstly, there's a scenario where a family has not only credit card debt, but they've also got some personal loan debts here and there. And unfortunately, it's very hard to consolidate that into an interest-free card. So the strategy there is a four-step strategy where you just say, okay, step one, write down all the debts one by one on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet, whatever's easier for you. Once you have it all written down, add up the whole amount there. So you basically add them all up, get the whole amount. And once you find that, see whether you can, if you have a mortgage in particular, let's say you're in front of you on your payments, you have some spare equity in there, try and consolidate it into your mortgage. So that way you're basically consolidating all your little debts into the mortgage and you can start 2011 off on the right foot. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is, let's just say you've just got a lot of credit card debts. Mm-hmm. Let's say you've got 4 or 5 credit cards and one of them's going, one of them's higher interest than the other one. You've got a couple of things that you can do there. Number one, if you can't seem to find an interest, because there's a lot of offers out there and there's a lot of banks and financial institutions, what they try and do is they're trying to say, okay, they're prepared to put a loss leader out there to gain your business. So they're like interest-free cards and they say, look, on the balance you won't pay anything for 12 months or 6 months. It's not a bad idea to make the most of that and use that as an opportunity to sort of, I suppose, bring it back and get yourself back in order. So maybe transfer all the balances there and begin to pay off as much as you can. But if you do that, make sure you pay it off and you get on a regimented path.
I was going to say, that's the one problem with that, isn't it? As long as you pay it off
Absolutely.
Under the conditions of that new card.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. And let's say you can't consolidate, because in some certain cases, certain people have got a bad credit reference, and that happens. And if that happens, you've got all these cards, the next step is to say, okay, prioritise that list and make sure you have from the highest interest rate card to the lowest interest rate card. Because some people say, look, I can't afford to pay them all and I don't want to pay the minimum amount, because we all know that by paying the minimum amount, that little number that's usually in black writing on the corner, they tell you that's the amount, I'm never getting forward. You won't, by the way. If you only
pay what they want us to do.
Exactly, yeah. And the truth of it is, what you should do is prioritise them from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, and then only pay the minimum on every card, barring the one that's got the highest interest rate. On that one, you pay any additional amounts that you can save or any additional amount after the budget, put them toward that. At least you know that every single one of your dollars is basically, and let's say your top rating card is paying 18%, you're basically making 18% on your money. I mean, in a kind of weird way. And I'm not suggesting that's an investment by no means, but at least you're knocking off the highest amount of debt and you're getting less behind, let's put it that way.
You're losing less.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's smart advice, and I guess it'd be very therapeutic to sit there with all those bills to a degree and say, right, if I pay that off first, it's a good way to start the new year, to prioritise what your problems are.
Absolutely.
You also mentioned earlier 3 major areas of quick wins, and again, if you'd like to ask Wilson Luna any questions, give us a call 13 13 32 or send us an email to ue.com.au and click on my name, Tracy Spicer. What are these areas of quick wins? This sounds like the lotto.
Yeah. See, here's the thing, as we're talking about on the break, what we find a lot of families saying is, look, I really like that about paying off more than what I should, or the minimum amount, but I can't get the money out of my budget. Because it's tough out there. I mean, energy prices have gone up, things are tight out there, and where do I get the extra? So we thought, okay, 2011, let's come up with 3 major areas that you can tackle straight away and hopefully get some big wins and get some extra on there. Number 1's the mortgage. It's such a big expense item that there's 3 ways to go out there and check your rates and make sure you're on the right wicket. Number 1, go to your bank and try and negotiate a better rate. If you tell them that you're willing to move, more times than not, especially if you've been a good payer, they'll look at negotiating something. Number 2, go to your mortgage broker and let him compare different loans for you. Mm-hmm. And number 3, look online. There's some really awesome sites out there at the moment that make it so easy just to work out whether you're on the right place or not, or whether you should be looking at changing home loans. And
now the government's finally doing something to make it easier, we can move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Secondly, groceries. How do we get a quick win on groceries?
Yeah, this was given to me by my wife because she's great at this area. She's fantastic. At this area, she's awesome. And it was interesting because she said, how do we work out because let's face it, when we go shopping, that's such a big expense item per week that we said, okay, how do we do it? And one of the main things that came out of it was getting to the habit of pre-planning meals at least 7 days ahead. And it might sound weird in a way. I know it was for us when we first tried it, so it takes a while to get used to. Once you do that, you begin to realise, hang on, now that I know what I'm pre-planning, I'm only going to go to the shops to buy the ingredients of what is in there. So you write down a list, write down a regular-made list. Never go to the shops without a list. Once you go to the shops, only go and buy those things. That's the hardest thing. So my suggestion is when you go to the shops, a couple of things. Number one, go to the shops without any kids because they're going to make you buy stuff that they shouldn't. Number two, go on a full stomach because otherwise you're going to buy stuff that you probably shouldn't again. And this personal experience, by the way, it doesn't apply to everybody. And number three, keep your credit card at home. Go with cash. If you know roughly what it should cost, take cash. That way you can't spend money that's not yours. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And the other thing with doing the list, I do this and plan the meals a week out, is that you don't waste very much food.
Yeah. And you know what? When we got into that system, another thing that started coming up was we started realising that a lot of that junk mail that you get in the mail, that stuff that you go, no, I'm sick of it. What ends up happening is you're looking for those loss leaders that the shops want you to go into. So you actually use those coupons, and if they're part of your list, you walk in there, but you directly go to those items. You won't go to anything around it because around it's where all the high margin products are. So a few little tips and you can save a fair bit on your grocery bills.
Your wife's a very wise woman. We've got a phone call from Arthur at Bligh Park. How are you going this afternoon?
Oh, good afternoon.
What's your question?
There's a lot of talk about changing mortgages, moving to cheaper mortgages, but I haven't got a mortgage myself, but I haven't heard anybody mention anything about moving the deeds. Or and where the solicitor's fees come into in changing mortgages?
That's a very good question. What do you know about that, Wilson?
Yeah, but when it comes to that, that's a really good consideration, and that's part of the whole process of when you're deciding, okay, well, I'm going to be moving on. Number one, make sure, let's say you use a broker, consider a few aspects. Consider obviously that their business is moving mortgages, so. This is where I always say consumer beware, where exactly the point that you made is spot on because you need to say, okay, what's the cost of doing this? So maybe you do need to do some research on that before you do anything. And you say, okay, what's this going to cost me? What's that going to cost me? Because there's other costs as well, apart from the deeds, moving the deeds as well. It's saying to yourself, if I add all these up, does the savings warrant the changeover? Or the time of transaction or the cost of, I suppose, transitioning my mortgage somewhere else. So that's a great point.
Thank you. I've never heard it mentioned, and I'm quite sure when you're talking 1%, 2%, that it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah, we'll look into that further, Arthur. Thanks for that, because although you are talking over the long term, you would want to be saving a lot of money to justify, especially the additional solicitor's fees.
Yeah, exactly. And 1%, funnily enough, just to give you an idea, 0.25% at the moment, it's worth around about $90 a month. So if you start talking 1%, you're probably beginning to talk somewhere in the vicinity of close to $400 a month on the average mortgage of $300,000. So it's a lot. It's a lot more than what we think, especially when you do these calculations, by the way, as well. Always try and, what we call it, net present value them. And it's a very fancy term for something so simple. It's unbelievable. Just grab roughly the next 5 years because on average, although you might think you're going to be in that mortgage for the next 25, the way that the mortgage market's moving, most of us will be, particularly if the government makes it easy to move mortgages, most of us will be going shopping for our mortgages pretty much on a more regular basis. So work out 5 years savings. And then work it backward. Don't work out any more than 5 years because chances are you probably won't be on that mortgage for more than 5.
Yeah, it makes sense. You said before your third quick win was in utilities, and this is an area that is really making people suffer, particularly those on a fixed income if you're a pensioner.
And it's going to get tougher.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the scary bit about it. Particularly here in New South Wales, it's going to get a lot tougher. And what we say to that is, particularly in utilities, energy and telco, is it's one area where Australia, I think, is in a pretty good position to go out there and sort of compare bills because it's a lot easier now. There's a lot of, they're putting in a lot more regulations where you can easily compare even online, different plans, different ways of, and you should do that on a regular basis. See, as one thing that's really apparent, particularly in our culture, is we're not used to going out there and haggling. It's one thing that it isn't. It's just not our way.
That is so true because we find it a novelty whenever we go overseas.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we get into that habit of saying, okay, these are the three major areas, if I concentrate on these, this is probably the big portion or percentage of my expenditure. On my utilities, it's getting very easy to do comparison, switching, and saving money almost instantly because you can change plans. Obviously, you've got to look at whether you're still in contract. Obviously, there's a lot of little things to look into.
How difficult is it to do? Is it complex, like changing a bank loan? It's
not anymore. There's some websites that actually just put in some figures and they work out even your the little cost or the incidental costs that go into it. And that way it makes it really easy to work out whether, because personally for myself, it's a nightmare when they start saying $79 cap and that means this, that. It confuses me. There's some websites that actually do all that stuff for you, which makes it a lot easier. Look for them on Google. I suppose you could just Google something like
I believe one of them's Go Switch. There's quite a few out there now.
Maybe that one or whatever's out there. Because if you do it and you get into a habit, we've got into this habit at home even where we said, let's do these three major areas every year because at least that's where we're going to get the big wins.
Yeah.
And once you get that, you get the enthusiasm to do other areas in your life because there are a lot of places we can save money, but that's a really nice start,
My husband's taken it to the nth degree. He's Scottish, of course. No offence to the Scots who are listening. But he'll go and haggle in any shops, whether he's buying a T-shirt or a pair of shoes, and it's quite hilarious to watch.
I think there's going to be a lot more of that, especially that it is getting tighter and especially that, how they say that, look, I just came back from Asia and like you said, it's a novelty. You go in and you watch them haggle and whatever's on the price, you never pay that. And I really struggle with it. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, it's a cultural shift. It is 8 minutes to 2 on 2UE. If you would like to talk to Wilson Luna from Your Family, Your Money, give us a call 1332.
Here's another exclusive offer from the 2UE Wine Club to pop your cork.
Cases of premium wine for around $9 a bottle.
Tyrrell's,
Evans and Tate,
Watershed,
Marlborough Whites,
Margaret River Reds,
and more.
At half what you pay retail.
Around $9 a bottle.
Including delivery.
Stock up for New Year before they're all gone.
Visit 2uewineclub.com.au.
2uewineclub.com.au.
I like Bingley.
At Bingley, we have the best negotiable deals on reverse cycle split air conditioning systems. We have Fujitsu air conditioners, we have Mitsubishi air conditioners, we have LG air conditioners, we have Panasonic air conditioners. We have immediate delivery on all air conditioners, and interest-free terms are available. I'm Yanda Lee. Come meet our team.
I like Bingley.
G'day, this is Simon from Simon Sackins Summer Sale. Save on driveway pavers from just $13.95 a square metre. We're clearing pots. The more you buy, the cheaper they are. Garden ornaments make great gift ideas from only $4.95. And red hot savings on waterline tiles and natural pool coping. See Simon Sackins and my brand new iPave store together at Simon Sackins, 4 Tate Street, Smithfield, or shop online at simonsackins.com.au.
God help us, an action-packed program with Michael Smith this afternoon. What Sydney men talk about in the dunny, according to Clover Moore. It's good that he's asking the big questions here. Why Julia Gillard is borrowing $150 million a day to give to lazy, corrupt countries, while she can only find $1 million for flooded Australians. And the brewing bikie wars in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. Remember, after that firebombing of the tattoo parlour yesterday. Michael Smith, straight after the news at 3 p.m.
How can you help sick and injured patients at the Prince of Wales and Mater hospitals? By buying tickets in the Mater Prize Home Lottery. Tickets start at just $2 for your chance to win a luxury $1 million home at Mount Coolum. And the VIP Club Plus offers even more winning opportunities. Help the Prince of Wales Hospital Foundation help others and get your tickets today.
Lottery closes February 23, 2011. Permit GOCAU 1211.
Call 1-800-427-131. The temperature in your roof cavity can reach 60 degrees. Fortunately, Skydome has just launched the Solar Power Vent, powered by the sun. The Solar Power Vent is a powerful extraction system that expels hot air from the roof cavity, cooling your home, lowering your energy bills this summer, and substantially reducing aircon loads. A powerful 10-watt motor, 10-year guarantee, and no running costs. It's so easy to install, you can do it yourself. Call 13 14 24. skydome.com.au.
If If you have a money question, give us a call, 13 13 32. Wilson Luna is in the studio with me for the next 4 minutes, so you better be quick. He's the founder of Your Family, Your Money. Wilson, we were talking before about websites you can go to compare the price of your utilities. Two of the ones are switchwise.com.au and goswitch.com.au. So get on there. Wilson says you can save a lot of money. I also wanted to ask you about super. It's done quite a fair bit better this year than last year, fortuitously.
Yeah, look, it has, and particularly with the balance fund, which is generally if you walk into a job and you don't pick your investment type, you'll generally walk into a balance fund, which is pretty much a diversified fund of shares, property and fixed interest. And, the numbers came out today, which were quite interesting, that we're still 6.5% behind on a 3-year return. So we're still behind, but at least the last 2 years, I think 12.4% last year and 6.5% this year. So we're pretty much returning cash rates at the moment, which people say, well, if that's the case, why am I taking a risk? And I suppose the answer of it is that historically, if we look at the returns on the higher risk assets like your shares, like your property, they have returned substantially more over the longer term. So those of you that, I suppose what we tell our clients at least is, because super is a long-term investment and you're looking for overall higher returns, you will generally find, and this is being general because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but historically it's always returned, the higher risk assets return more, and maybe, although there's been a glut in the market 3 years ago, it's, this is the time where probably we're going to get the swing back. I think my personal view, I think we're going to go pretty much sideways for a little while and probably return the average. But, it's that thing, it's a long-term investment. If we see it that way, we've got the opportunity to get higher returns, whilst unfortunately we go into cash net. That's basically all you can get. So it's sort of, if you're uncomfortable with the risk, you should probably be going more cash. But, yeah.
What about mortgages? There was a report that came out yesterday saying Australian house prices had gone up more than anywhere else in the world. France was second. What do you see for next year?
That's a tough one. There's so many factors with mortgage, particularly with the fact of, you've got a situation where, we're importing a lot of, there's a lot of immigration. You've got the amount of houses that are getting built as well. So that's sort of, that's swaying the other way around. So basically it would signify that price is going to go up. Then you look at the other side and you go interest rates. If interest rates continue going up, or you're going to get a tightening and it's going to go the other way. So, prognosticating is not really one of my strengths.
Where's that crystal ball? I told you to bring it in.
I don't. You know what? There's a lot of smarter people in that side of it. From my point of view, it can go either way, and that's why we always say, I suppose, work on what's coming out, the current affairs that's coming out, because to prognosticate, we could be saying this tomorrow. No one would have predicted the global financial crisis, just like no one really knows where house prices. It could go either way. It depends a lot on government policy. It depends a lot on immigration. It depends a lot on councils, how much they allow areas, etc. So it's a crystal ball, as you mentioned. All
right. Well, when you come in next time, please bring the crystal ball in. You've given us some valuable advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wilson Luna there, the founder of Your Family, Your Money. Some terrific advice there, particularly with those utilities. Switchwise.com.au and goswitch.com.au. What are you doing today? Give us a